friends, I'm Sherry and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Miracle Morning Draw. In this video, I'm going to share a really cool and easy way that you can make drawing a part of your morning routine. All you need to do this is a pen and a couple sheets of paper. So grab those and we'll get started in just a moment. Thanks so much. Hey everyone, welcome back. We talked briefly about how you start a consistent daily art practice. And I can share with you that having a daily art practice has been one of the most rewarding things for me. And it has helped my confidence grow as an artist. It helps me find my authentic style. And it ultimately grows my skills. So it's just so important. I believe in it so much. Plus, it's just so satisfying. You know, I feel connected to my creativity. I feel connected to creative spirit. And I just get so much out of having some time in the mornings where I'm just drawing for the sake of drawing, you know, drawing for fun, creating for fun and no other reason. So I want to introduce to you like a couple of tips for getting a practice started. And I think, you know, we see people with these brilliant sketchbooks on Instagram and other places, and we think, oh, I want to be a sketchbooker like that. And maybe one day you will, maybe one day I will, but we got to start small. So the couple of tips that I want to talk with you about are how do you do something, how do you get it started, and how are you able to maintain it? So a couple of tips. Number one, I really recommend working small in the beginning. So I have a small sketchbook that I might work in, and I also have just this habit of taking like 9 by 12 sheets of paper and cutting them into 4 sections. So I've got this little section that I can work with, and I don't feel any stress about this, right? The cool thing about working on small bits of paper is I'm not nervous about messing up my sketchbook. I'm not nervous about whether or not it's perfect. It's just a piece of paper. And sometimes I'll even use pieces of paper that already have scribbles on it. They already have some paint on it. They're just something that truly is just a scrap of paper. You can do these in white paper, you can do it in black paper, you can do it on this tan paper, any kind of paper that you want to work on. But I think that working small is just so freeing, right? It's just completely freeing and fast. And so that leads me to the next point, which is speed. I think another thing about starting a daily practice is you're not starting and stopping something. You're not trying to get it to perfection. It's just for you. It's just for your sketchbook, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So when I'm working small and when I'm working fast, I don't care so much about the outcome. I'm not attached to it. I truly can just enjoy the process. I can enjoy doing art for the sake of doing art. And because those are my expectations, I find that my inner critic really, she's quieting down a little bit. So work small and working fast. Those are the second 2 tips. And then the other tip is that I like to keep it really simple with my supplies. There'll come a time when you're so accustomed to having some time for art every day that you can be more complex with your supplies. You may have more ambitious projects, but when you're starting, I would say keep it really simple. Keep it to some scraps of paper, keep it to a pen that you like, and get into the habit, like get that under your belt. And after that's under your belt, then you can add some things. Maybe you want to work in a nicer sketchbook. Maybe you want to use different materials. So I want to show you this, and work fast, work small, and keep the supplies simple. Those are my first tips. Now I want to show you a few that I've done, and sometimes when I've gotten a pretty big stack of these little drawings, I'll just put a ribbon around them, I'll bundle them up, I'll put them on my shelf, and I just like to look at it, right? I think it's cool that it's there. If I ever want to take them out of the package, then I can look at them and see what I've done. I will also take these and paste them in my sketchbook. Maybe I want to save it, and maybe some I don't want to save, but that's another fun thing that I do, because weirdly sometimes I'm like freaked out about messing up a page in my sketchbook. So if I just paste this in, I haven't I haven't messed anything up. So these are all little drawings that I did with pen, and I do them as continuous line drawings, which means I'll put my pen down and I'll never lift my pen up. So you can see all the little squiggly marks. It's not perfect, but they're so fun to do, and that's another reason why they fit into this idea of working small and working fast. I've set this expectation already that it's not going to be a masterpiece, so it's okay for the squiggly lines to be there. And I actually like that. I think it brings good energy to the painting. So you can see that I've got a variety of subjects here. This is a dog that's in our family, Katie. This is just an everyday object, a spray water bottle. This is my dog, Jack. So you can do these continuous line drawings really fast, but they're just sweet. This is something that's in my house. This is the face jug that's in my house. This is just inspired because my daughter was traveling in Paris, and one day I did one, just to celebrate Paris. So there are all kinds of different subjects that you can choose and just have fun and do a drawing in the mornings. So the way that I make doing something like this a part of my morning routine is to give myself a little bit of extra time in the morning. I don't need a lot of extra time, right? Because these are very fast to do. And what my personal routine is I get up, I'll let my dogs out, I'll have my coffee or tea, I'll write in my journal for a while, listen to some inspiring music, and then it's just natural for me to grab my sketchbook and do a page or two, depending on how much time I have, right? I can take as long as I want, or if I only had time to do this one thing, I've done it, I've made something, and I move on with my day, but I've been faithful to the practice. And I really do believe that practice and that showing up every day is what is, we're going to get so many benefits from doing. So those are some examples, and I want to talk just a little bit about what to draw again. So I showed you a number of examples of different things that I've drawn, but it also can stump people. They're like, well, what do I draw every day? And I like to do a couple of things. Number one, I like to just look around my house for inspiration. So right now I'm sitting at my studio desk, and this is on my desk, right? I could easily draw this, and it would be a fun drawing to do. Flowers, items in your kitchen, images from family photographs. I really, really love looking around my own home for inspiration because it just reminds me of the beauty of my own home. It may cause me to think about that particular object or the person in the picture, or just look around my house with appreciation. So as much as you can, I don't stress and think, oh, I can only sketchbook when I'm out traveling. There's beauty around your own house, and it's so much fun to kind of find it and see it with new eyes. So for purposes of our time together, I'm going to do a couple of these, and I'm going to use an image for my first one of this protea plant. I absolutely love protea plants, one of my favorite flowers, and I'm going to do this as a continuous line drawing. I'm using a pen that I like. You can use any kind of pen. I think the key is just making sure you like the way it writes. So I've got a variety of different options here. This is a Sharpie gel pen. This is not a fancy art pen, and I love the way it writes, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to put my pen down. I'm looking at my subject, and I'm just moving my hand as I am looking at the subject. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know I'm going to have lines all over the place. I love it. I'm prepared to love it. So I'm just going to start here at the bottom, and make sure you can see that. Yeah. So I'm just going to hold my pen kind of loosely and follow along what I see. There's these like little bumps and ridges, and I'm just going to capture some of that. Again, I'm starting with the leaves, and you're going to see that I have lines that are all over the place, and that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. It's, as a matter of fact, I prefer it when I can see the energy and I can see the lines and the different I don't know, wonkiness, I guess is a word I'll use. So this is my first one. There are some lines kind of on this center part that I want to capture. And then there's some darker edges. So I did lift my pen up just to point that out, but I won't do that again. And I'm just coming in where I see some of those darker edges and adding some of that in. Now you can be as detailed as you want to be with these, or you can just have a really loose interpretation. I mean, maybe your version of continuous line drawing will look very different than mine. And I think that's another really great benefit of this practice, is that you discover your authentic drawing style. And you discover things that maybe you want to take to a painting. You get to be you when you do this. And so I'm just going to stop there. So there's my protea plant. And I probably could have spent a few, come down here to the stem and added a little bit. There you go. I could come back to this with some colored pencil or some watercolor. There's my first one. All right, for my next one, I have a bouquet on my desk, and so I'm going to take this little sheet of paper, and I'm going to do this bouquet. And I love, love, love doing flowers with this continuous line technique. I think it's just really, really fun. So I'm just going to start with the base that I see, and there are some stems that I see in the water. And then I'm going to, start with the focal point, I guess, of this is the succulent. So I'm going to capture the petals of the succulent. And I'm just going to stay true to this idea that I'm doing it as a continuous line, and I'm not trying to make it perfect by any stretch. I'm trying to capture the spirit of it, and I'm trying to just, draw for the sake of drawing. This really starts to help you see things differently. If you're just capturing in a few lines, like, what do you want to capture? So I call it having artist eyes. I think it helps you develop your artist eyes really in a fun and interesting way. There are these flowers that have some weird little, branch coming off. And there's one. I'm just going to get some leaves on this one. Okay, there's a rose. I'm going to capture the rose. And there's some little cute little tiny leaves coming up on these stems. So I could leave this in black and white the way that it is here, or I could come back with some watercolor or some colored pencils if I wanted to. And I'm not going to do that right now, but it is a fun thing to do. Okay, so here's my little continuous line drawing of this bouquet. And again, if this was the only thing that I had time to create today, I've at least created this, right? So it's so exciting to have this practice and to know that if I don't have time, if I'm out traveling, or I'm sitting on my couch and I just finished my journaling or my meditation, and now I've created something. It's really, really satisfying. And my final one is going to be, oh, you know what I think I want to do? I think I want to do a face so that we can see that the process for doing this with a face is really the same. And sometimes faces can be a little scary to people. So this is a vintage photograph, and I love to use vintage photographs. I think it's also fun to use family photographs if you can, you know, grab from your old family scrapbook. So I'm going to turn the page this way, and I'm going to start with the hair, and I'm being really loose. Add the eyes in, eyebrow. I'm not trying to get a likeness. I'm just moving my hand in response to what I see. I know it's not going to be perfect because it can't be perfect, right, with this technique. It's practice. Now, I say it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. You may love it though. So be prepared to just fall in love with some of these. They're so much fun to do, and you're going to get so good at it that you will just really love some of them. So I want to capture some of these waves in her hair. So I'm looking at it and thinking, you know, how am I gonna capture that? So I'm just going to do a few waves. This is a great way to start to understand the kind of marks that you like to make when you draw. Again, if we were both, you know, doing this at the same time, same image, they're going to look very different because I'm a very scribbly drawer, and you may like to use, you know, fewer, neater lines. It really is very personal, the style that we develop. Okay, there she is. So just a really quick little portrait. So each one of these maybe took a minute or 2 minutes at the most. I didn't time it, but you can see how easy it would be to make this a part of your day, because I'm not going in my studio and requiring that I get out all my paints and, you know, work on a painting for an hour. If I only have a couple of minutes and I want to draw something quickly, you know, this is a great practice, and it gets you in the habit. The way that I started doing this was once during a 100-day project. I said I'm going to do a little continuous line drawing every day for 100 days. And I did that. And I kept, even after the 100-day project ended, I kept going. You know, I kept setting aside a little bit of time every day to work in my sketchbook. And now I have a really robust sketchbook practice that sometimes I do full-blown acrylic paintings, you know, in my sketchbook. But I didn't start there. I started with these little drawings. So I just want to encourage you that if you're thinking, wow, well, that looks so easy, how is that even going to do anything for me? I don't know how to explain it, but it absolutely does create the habit, and it develops your skill, and it keeps you connected to your creativity. And I feel like that 100 days was really, really transformative for me. There are lots of different techniques for working in your sketchbook. I have some sketchbook tips on Instagram. I did a 30-day Miracle Morning Draw live drawing sessions. Those are in my reels. I would love for you, if you do some of these drawings, to use hashtag Miracle Morning Draw and tag me. I would love to see what you do and encourage you. And I just appreciate you taking the time to spend with me, and I look forward to seeing you and seeing your work. You guys have a great day.